Hello, good morning, Dr. Lynn Carey. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Aneta, for having me. It's an honor to be here.
So tell me a little bit more about how you came to be a doctor of chiropractor and then also just where your passion has come from for the wellness space.
I grew up just having a knowing that there had to be more to life. I really was raised in the full blown, I love the term rat race. My family just worked all the time, kind of didn't question it, yet they still spoke like there wasn't enough. Things are hard. We have to keep working. It was almost like I was not a good person if I wanted to rest or relax. It was looked frowned upon. That old hard school Italian school of hard knocks. And so
Yeah.
I really took a lot of that to heart. Like I worked hard. I worked hard in school, but I hated it. But I was an honor student. So it was all this going on, but I was just following the system because that's all I knew, even though it had an inner knowing, but no outer confirmation telling me that I had a knowing or I knew or I was on the path or I had another path. But when I got to age 14, I was diagnosed with scoliosis, which I found myself. They always checked in school and they had said I was fine. But when
Yeah.
I found it, I had a big bump in my back and it was severe. And they ended up putting Harrington rods in my spine because that was just what the medical world does. And I was lucky they took them out after a year and a half. But I think it was because I had pain. Because according to them, the surgery was a success. There was no problems. But I was a mess after. I was not sick before, but I was always sick after. Pain, symptoms, like I got chicken pox a year to the day of my surgery. It was one thing after another. That already had depression. It was like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? But I already had the questioning of life and the depression. And this just, now I had all the physical stuff too. And I just went to college because I was told I had to. Didn't like that either. And I was just looking for a major. What do you do with your life? That pressure at 18 to define
Yeah.
yourself. And I was lucky that someone told me to look into chiropractic. And I believe it was a God's calling. It saved my life on so many levels. I didn't even get adjusted before I went to chiropractic school. I read the pamphlet. It said the power that made the body heals the body. And it was like the first time I heard the truth, the inner knowing, found something. I couldn't have consciously said that, but that's how I'm
Yeah.
describing it now. And I just went to chiropractic school and it was the beginning of a life changing journey that is
Wow.
continues to this day.
Were your parents immigrants?
No, my grandparents were. My mom was first born here.
hmm Isn't it interesting? I immigrated with my parents, and I feel like there's this really hard work ethic for immigrants that come in. And even the scarcity that you mentioned, I think it's tied into because they really do remember not having enough. And there's always this, there was no going back. They burned the boat, they left, like the chances of people leaving. And so it does build this dysregulation nervous system where people are working and they're striving and they're working so hard. And it does get passed down to us as children too, because you said even though it didn't feel right, that you didn't have any external validation that there could be a different way because it wasn't modeled.
Yes. And you're bringing tears to my eyes because right now I feel like there's so many layers that we build as we go through our lives that
hmm
you can only uncover so many. Probably would traumatize the nervous system. It's like you can only consciously handle so much at a time. And I really feel like right now I'm going through understanding that root cause of that scarcity mindset, that lack, that hard work ethic that I think I
Yeah.
have brought into my adult life because I associated making money with really the struggle and the pain and not liking what I did because my
Mm.
family had a business. We were expected to work in it, but I hated it. It was terrible. But there was that guilt. And then I found passion. Like I found purpose with chiropractic and then with other entrepreneurial endeavors. Like I found purpose and passion and inspiration. But for me, it's been a struggle to be able to support myself through that because there was a disconnect. And
Mm.
it's interesting. I'm realizing now that I think the scoliosis was part of that money thing. My father died before I had the scoliosis. There were so many things. Me just feeling the disconnect of life. Had the
Yeah.
braces being put on my teeth before and after my father died. And that's one of the connections of scoliosis, like another pattern. There's all
What do
these
you
things.
mean?
And I started working at my family business right after my father died. And it was right. a year before I got diagnosed with the scoliosis. And I'm really realizing right now how much I believe it was connected to that scarcity and work ethic. And isn't that crazy? I'm going to be 50 and I'm really just connecting the dots right now on that one.
Yeah, that is so interesting and impactful. And sometimes we just have to pull ourselves out of our everyday life and go, wait a second. I mean, because right, inspiration can come to you at any time, like this inner knowing. So you found the scoliosis. And so you're saying that you think that there was a connection between all those other things happening in your life. What do you think may be contributed to the scoliosis?
Yeah, so this is what I've come to learn as a chiropractor and through
Yeah.
my healing journey is I love the book, Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your
Oh,
Body, that she has
yes.
the emotional component to the physical symptom
Yep.
and the emotional thought that we're having that we replay. And then she gives you a positive affirmation. I really believe that's what I would tell people. I'm like, look, your physical symptoms are just an outer expression of something going on with inside of you. If you can tap into what that belief is or what that fear is, and you can change that, the physical symptoms going to change. That's
So
just
true.
how it works. It's not even a
Hmm.
guessing game. That's how it works. That's the energy flow of the body.
Yeah.
So we were learning that in school. I remember some of the components of scoliosis were feeling pulled between two parents. I could say that on so many levels. My
Wow.
father died when I was 12. I was raised Catholic, so I believed that he went to heaven, this utopia place, and I believed he left me here in hell. That's how I felt. And I was kind of
Mm,
angry. I'm like, great, he's in a better place. So I didn't have
yeah.
a fear of death, but I felt like I had a parent in one place and my mother here on earth. So pulled in two directions. I do believe my father died from his failed entrepreneurial endeavors, failed dreams. He
Mm,
lost a business, he lost a house, had to start working at a job that he hated on a night shift. And I believe
yeah.
that led to his cancer. So I was a part of that. That was my beginning upbringing, this
Yeah.
struggle from him. But then my mother had it 10 times from that immigrant
Yeah.
scarcity mentality, work hard, you're no good if unless you do, kind of hard knocks. So that was all happening. You could say that. I personally felt like there had to be more to life, but there was no validation. So that's being pulled in two directions. Then there's also the component. Do you see everybody? It was so crazy. Do you see all these young kids or braces are put on the teeth? No matter if your teeth are crooked or straight, it's like you shouldn't even 50-50. I feel like you get to a certain level and they're bracing your teeth. What is that? I don't
Right.
even know if it became a big business, but I believe I went through, I had the headgear, everything. Like
Mm,
they're putting all this stress on your face.
yeah.
Your body's growing, puberty, all those things. Well, you're being held here. What does your poor body have to do to compensate that? Plus, I had the trauma of my father dying, which kind of locks in the trauma. You can't
Yeah.
express it. So I had all these things, but also when I got diagnosed with scoliosis, I started working at my family business. We had a sub shop that all my cousins worked in. I was like the youngest. I remember thinking, my family works all the time. I want to be included. I want to work too, because that's
Yeah.
where I'll be seen, I'll be accepted. Well, when I got there, I really saw the dysfunction, the alcoholism, the
Mm,
workaholism. They weren't happy, the fighting with each other. But I was
yeah.
told, don't question that. That's normal. Well, I'm realizing that's, I think, a lot of the cause of my trauma in my spine. It was just one thing after another. And that's unbelievable that I'm just connecting the dots to that right now. But that's really what's been coming up for me.
Wow, that's
So,
amazing. And then the irony, we're not the irony because there are no coincidences, I think, but then the fact that you went to chiropractic school and without ever being adjusted, but something you said rang true, like your spirit just knew that what you read on the pamphlet felt aligned somehow to what you also believed. So tell me a little bit more about that for some people that maybe don't tap in that way or aren't really as connected. Like, what about the pamphlet did sort of ring true for you and gave you the go ahead to say, okay, I think this is where I need to pursue my career?
so ironic. Chiropractic was able to walk, and maybe this will give people a lot of clarity on every profession has, we could say good or bad or different paths, but
Yeah.
chiropractic really had the ability to walk two worlds. It looked mainstream. You had a doctorate degree. You could make a decent amount of money every year. It was an accepted profession. It looked good socially to become a chiropractor. So it had those elements, that I felt like that's what you want a college degree for. My mother
Yeah.
approved kind of thing. Because really, when I told her about chiropractic, she said, "Oh, they're quacks. You don't want to do that." So there's that other element that people don't understand. But I believe at the time that I was coming into it, it was becoming more accepted, mainstream.
Hmm.
But when I got there, I mean, the pamphlet itself, I thought, nobody ever said this to me, that the power that made the body heals the body. I've been struggling with my body and sickness for 5 years, going to different doctors. All they knew is how to give me drugs
Right.
or physical therapy, but the pain was horrible. The
Yeah.
sickness kept coming down. I was always getting strep throat, just run down. Not one person, I kept saying, why do I keep getting sick when I'm done this antibiotic, or
Sure.
the pain medicine didn't even work? And they just would like, let me write you a stronger prescription. And I'm like, these people don't know. So when I
Right.
heard that it was like the first time I knew there was an answer for me. Even though when I got there, it wasn't that I started getting adjusted and it was a quick fix. And I think this is where people miss the message of healing. They think you have to do whatever remedy it is and get better. Well, no, sometimes it's a process. Most of the
Yeah.
time, it's a process because you're untangling all that crap. And so I was changing my mindset, understanding how the body heals. I was learning what the medical world learned because I had to pass all these boards to become a doctor. So I was seeing that all they know how to do is give big labels to basic bodily symptoms so they can drug it. They didn't understand anything else. They didn't get nutrition. They didn't understand the energy of the
Yeah.
body. We were understanding that there's an inner wisdom in the body, that it's doing what it needs to do to run your body all the time, that if you tried to do that consciously, you couldn't do it. So I was understanding that the body's always making itself better. It's always healing. Symptoms, there's a purpose for symptoms. What is the body trying to tell you? It's always making itself new. It's always healing itself. It never stops unless you're interfering. There's
Mm.
interference. You see? So I was
Yeah.
getting adjusted, but having all this change in mindset, I got to the point where I didn't fear the pain anymore. I didn't fear what my body was doing. I understood it. That's
Mm.
probably the most empowering thing that can happen to a person is once they have
Yeah.
understanding. Once you lose the fear, that's where the true healing happens, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like when you release the fear, then you're not resisting. As you said, it's a different perspective going, what is my body trying to tell me? And how can I support it? That's awesome and fascinating. So, you started your chiropractic career. And can you tell me just maybe some stories of healing that you were able to witness or be a part of with your clients?
Yeah, I mean, there would be spontaneous things. I would adjust one person one time and whatever it was, low back pain and neck pain, their symptom would go away. And that's fine. Sometimes I would be like, well, they missed the healing part. Now they think I fixed them. That didn't impress me so much because I thought now if that symptom comes back for them and it's not a quick fix, they're going to think something's wrong. They're going to blame chiropractic. They missed the boat. They didn't really get to the root of why that happened. So I don't feel like they got the full healing experience. And yet,
Hmm.
that's what people think is healing and success. Oh, you fixed them.
Yeah.
That's not how I looked at it. The purest part, though, is the kids. Like kids getting adjusted when they're little and the earache goes away or the symptoms go away and their digestive problems go away, allergies go away because they're getting adjusted because they don't have years of buildup. It's easy to clear a child. The trauma that they experience a lot of times is because they were given too many drugs right away and the birth trauma. So much happens in that experience that we call normal. It's not a normal birth anymore. It's trauma and so many drugs. I mean, by the time you're 18, you're given like 72 shots if you follow the
Yeah.
mainstream system. What is that? How does the body even survive that? So it was a blessing to be a part of a lot of children's journey. They found another path early. I always thought that was such a
Yeah.
blessing.
Oh, yeah. So for someone that maybe hasn't ever been to a chiropractor, I love getting adjusted. And as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, okay, I need to work on my posture and I need to go schedule my appointment. But tell me a little bit, maybe you can share for folks that are curious, but maybe have never gone. How does your profession work? And what exactly is helping heal the body or heal the person when you're working with your clients?
So the intent of chiropractic is just to feel the spine. Every area of the spine should be moving properly. So because that is what protect the brain and spinal cord and nervous system exits through the spine. That nerves exit through the spine. That's how your brain communicates to your body. It's like an electricity flow. We
Hmm.
call it the life force, the flow of the body. And when you would adjust the spine, it just releases those blockages of energy that are get stored up. We could call it stress. I mean, if you're stressed out, you feel you hold yourself funny. So it's like
Yeah.
if you keep doing that, it becomes a chronic pattern. So the adjustment just breaks up that pattern. So that can help someone have an awakening to make changes in the body, to reset the body. Hopefully, they go different in their life. But my thing was, I didn't want people dependent on me to do it. I saw that I could help you align, but the work is to do the inner alignment yourself. It's working on your own inner flow. So, what would cause, like I would see, what would cause some people to heal and some people not to? It was their mindset, their thought patterns, their lifestyle, how happy they were in life. That was the biggest. Are they really
Mm.
following what they want to be doing in life? Or are they going to a job they hate, a marriage they hate, a relationship they hate? Where was the joy? Were they really in line with their soul's truth and purpose? Or were they doing what society expected them to do? And that was the crux for me. And I thought,
Mm.
it's about doing the work to find your soul's alignment. It's the alignment of the soul.
Yeah.
Chiropractic's a metaphor for being in alignment with your higher source.
Mm. Well, and how do people get there? What have you found in terms of how to live your purpose or how to be in alignment with yourself?
Yeah. So that's why I'm big on people creating their desired life. I love that expression because I believe you can work on your health, but I believe you can't separate all areas of your life. You have to really look at your money flow, your relationships, the people around you, how you feel every day. And that could be overwhelming. I always say, like, a great place to start is just you have to learn to come back to yourself and your own inner voice. We've been trained to listen to so many things outside of us, from the
Hmm.
news to the priests to our professors to all these things, instead of listening to what's going on within ourselves. So, a great place to just get reoriented, I think, is the journal. If you just put pen to paper and start writing out, what would your dream life look like? Are you living it or are you not? Why not? Some people say, I don't know what I want. I believe it's because they don't believe they can have it. So it's
Yeah.
like, I say, don't judge that. Just judge what does your wildest dreams look like and start paying attention to what inspiration flows for you, even if you don't know, and write it down. Something that would really help that is making a gratitude list. Make lists of things that you appreciate, even just feeling the sunshine on your face, like little things. To retrain yourself to look for things to appreciate because that's the vibration of inspiration. Instead of looking for the problem, always looking at a problem that you have to
Yeah.
fix, that our society is very problem oriented. Become solution oriented by feeling that place of gratitude, appreciation.
Yeah.
That's where the inspiration can come. And then ideas will start to flow of, well, if I could have no limits to time and money, what would I be doing with my life? That's a big question. So journal, what would it look like? And you don't have to figure it all out because if you just stay open to that place, reflect on that maybe every day, you're going to get answers pop in. The right person's going to show up with a message for you. A book's going to fall into your lap. The podcast will
Yeah.
come up on your screen. I always say you get answers. It starts to become like a puzzle. You start putting these pieces together. And that's where the soul starts to thrive. If you want your life force to come through at 100%, follow your dreams. Even the stuff that you are afraid to face, that's where people stop. They're afraid to face the limiting beliefs, the fears that come up. But if you realize that they're breakthroughs, you can have breakthroughs with that, that allows so much more energy to flow. You're here to clear those limiting beliefs. That's the blessing of the soul's journey, to face those limiting beliefs so that you can release them. They may have served you back in the past, but they're probably not serving you now. So you have to get a new perspective on them and change that system. That's how you really start to have absolute well-being. That's where it's at.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I'm such a big supporter and proponent of journaling. I just think it's such a great way to tap into your subconscious mind, tap into your heart space, and really ask yourself those questions. I'm with you. I think that people censor themselves. They negotiate with their dreams before they even really honor what's coming through because we focus so much on the how. And when it seems hard, we just go, oh, that's silly. How will I ever do that? Or I won't have time, or I don't have the money, or that's irresponsible, or whatever the excuses are. So, what age did you start to discover this? Because it sounds like when you were younger, you were having some conflicts. Even your body was giving you signals, but maybe it wasn't in complete harmony.
Yeah, I guess I was really just immersed in my own healing journey in chiropractic school. I was having such radical transformation. I was in so much pain. The pain became worse first,
Oh,
really scary because I was getting adjusted. It was awakening all the trauma in my spine that had to release. So it was quite a journey. It wasn't like got a few adjustments that I was fine. It was a
yeah.
process, couple of years. It was very mechanical for me. I just wanted the structural adjustment. I wasn't into the spiritual stuff at that time. As soon as I opened my practice, talk about ignorance on fire. 23 years old, I opened up my practice because I just wanted to practice on principle. I didn't like how other chiropractors were practicing. I mean, chiropractic was very sacred to me. And I just saw other chiropractors who became colleagues, I would say. They just didn't get it. They didn't have their own healing experience. So it was very mechanical. They came out and I felt like to build a practice, they were pushing the fear, doing the insurance, all this stuff. And to me, that was anti-chiropractic. It was
Mm,
sacred to me. I wanted it to be
yeah.
about wellness. People could afford it. And so I opened up my practice and a lot of things happened. I realized no one taught me about money or business. So I started reading that. But also my own healing journey went deeper. It became more spiritual. I started getting adjusted with a lighter touch. I was having a kind of an awakening in that way. I started reading Autobiography of a Yogi
Oh, yeah.
by
It's a good one.
Paramahansa. And
Yeah.
I was realizing that there was so much working on people too. This was so much bigger than what we thought. This life force that runs the body, what we call life, is so much bigger here, so much more
Yeah.
than what we can comprehend. And I realized at that time, in my first 3 years in practice, I realized I'm like, there's no disease except that we believe in it.
Mm,
And how do you say that? In my early 20s, I'm discovering all this stuff, but I couldn't voice this to the average person. Just the basic chiropractic message was too much for most people. They didn't want
yeah.
to change their lives. They didn't want to face what they had to do. They just wanted me to fix them so they could keep going on in their lives. Well, I didn't get into practice for that. I wanted to get to the bottom of what life was about. That's always been my mindset. That's what makes me thrive. So I just kept reading and doing, and then I was having my own inner transformation. It just kind of was all happening at the same time.
Hmm. Yeah. And I could only imagine as a young 20-something-year-old starting with her practice, where did you live at the time? Was the community
Delaware.
open? Delaware? Oh, okay.
No,
Yeah, it wasn't like
we didn't even
Portland, Oregon.
we didn't even have a health food store.
Yeah.
Like I came from Atlanta, where it was like a kind of a hub of what do you call the new age or the healthy living kind of style. But I go back to my town in Delaware, there was no Whole Foods. There was
Yeah.
no like Trader Joe's where you could buy organic. It was before all that. It was interesting, an interesting
Yeah.
time to see where society has evolved to now, what's so accepted compared by 1998 when I started. So that gives me hope that the consciousness
Hmm.
is waking up, a lot with all those things. But
I think so. So, do you still have your private practice right now?
I do not. No, I practiced for 18 years and that was something I had to go through. I felt like I expanded beyond it and I wanted
Mm,
to close it so bad, but there was so much guilt involved because I
yeah.
love chiropractic. So that was the whole process to finally get to that point where I closed it. And I don't regret it at all. I realized I stayed in it too long, but that
Yeah.
was part of my journey.
Yeah. And what's part of your journey now? How do you spend most of your time?
Yeah. So right now, the lockdown of 4 years ago really screwed me up. It really derailed totally living. By 2019, I was building my dream life, building my business.
Mm,
I'm building a network marketing business because I really believe I could help people create healthy habits, financial freedom, and work on their personal development at the same time. That's what I loved about it. And I was
yeah.
living in Miami Beach, my dream, and I understood the economy finally. I had to invest. I had my money where I finally felt like, oh, this is great. And then the lockdowns happened and everything was derailed. I lost all my personal networking events. I was speaking up for health freedom because I knew what was going on wasn't right. And everybody around me did not want to hear it. I was like, here we go again. Here we go again. I felt like when I opened
Yeah.
my practice, people weren't ready for my message. Well, in 2020, right away, I was speaking like, this isn't right. What's going on? And people were not ready for, I'm like, how did I align myself to everybody who was asleep at that time? But anyway, so I'm rebuilding myself, still at the same business, but I had to do more online. It really just threw a wrench in my plans. But I'm getting to the root of a lot of shadow work that I wasn't able to do before. I was only one life at a time, and it is what it is. I'm at peace with it. So
Sometimes through the darkest times and challenges, we are able to find ourselves, to find the light within. So, how can people find you if they want to learn more about you and your different programs? Where can we find you?
So I have a website, creatingmydesiredlife.com, and you can go on there and you can email me a question. You can get on my mailing list. You can also find my book there. It's called My Journey to Grace.
Tell me a little bit more about your book.
Yeah, so I wrote it in the beginning of when we first locked down in 2020 because there was so much fear happening. And I realized if everybody understood healing like I do, had the experience that I did with my body,
Yeah.
they wouldn't be falling for this. They wouldn't be living in this fear. This would not be happening. I knew it in the pit of my being, every fiber of my being. So I just decided to write my story. I wasn't planning on doing that then. I thought maybe down the road I'll write my book because I was still figuring out the
Yeah.
financial piece and building a business and becoming financially free because I had a lot of pieces figured out. And I was just putting my puzzle together of creating my
Yeah.
desired life. When that happened, I said, like, well, I guess nothing's happening right now. At the time, I didn't know we were going to be derailed for
Yeah.
almost 2 years. I thought we were going to last a couple weeks, but I just decided to write my story. And one thing led to another, and I self published it. And I just thought it's really just a passion project for me. Again, it was just like I learned from other people's stories. I love hearing success stories or how empowered stories because when someone figures it out, that means I could figure it out. It's like we're setting a new blueprint for humanity. And so I knew my story could help people have faith that they can heal themselves. That's the truth of what it is. You don't have to be afraid of another disease that they create, another
Yeah.
disease coming into the world. So the empowerment's within, and that's really what the book's about.
That sounds so great. I'll have to check it out. We'll include the links in the show notes. And Lynn, I ask everyone a final question, which is, what does it mean to you to live the width of your life?
I love that question because right now I feel like I'm going through a really challenging time. But do I regret anything that I've chosen before? No, because what I think I am living the width of my life. It tears me up
Mhm.
because I've played my hand full out every moment. I've always took the chance. I've always said yes to life. I've always said yes to my dreams to the best of my ability of what was in my awareness of the choices that I had at the moment. And I'm thinking that's a pretty grand life because
Yeah.
right now it looks like everything's upside down. But I'm like, I'm okay with that because I know from the darkest hour comes the greatest light. And it's going to be another awakening for me. And it's going to be a really good story. This piece.
Mm. Thank you so much for coming on the show today and just continued success to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.